What if I told you the most powerful weapon in American history wasn't a missile, a drone, or a nuclear bomb, but a secret contract signed with a desert kingdom in 1974, a deal so consequential that it turned every barrel of oil on Earth into a tribute payment to the United States. Today, over 80% of global oil trade is still priced in US dollars. This single fact allows America to print money, buy real resources, and make the rest of the world carry the cost. But almost no one understands how this system was engineered, or why it's now beginning to crack. So here's the question. How did a nearly bankrupt America in the 1970s convince the world's oil powers to accept paper in exchange for power? And what hidden weapon still lives inside every dollar you spend today? Because if the petrodollar collapses even slightly, everything from Wall Street to the mortgage on your home will feel the shockwave, and the first cracks are already forming. This is the story of how oil became America's silent empire, and why the world of 2025 may resemble the world of 1973 far more than anyone wants to admit.
Let me take you back to the early 1970s, when the global financial system was teetering on the edge. The Bretton Woods gold standard had just collapsed, leaving the dollar without its golden anchor. Inflation skyrocketed, debt piled up, and America entered one of its most uncertain economic periods since World War II. Then came the oil crisis. In 1973, OPEC, led by Saudi Arabia, imposed an oil embargo that sent prices quadrupling overnight. Gas lines stretched for miles, and suddenly, the world realized that oil was the new gold. Whoever controlled it held immense power, but behind the scenes, Washington was working on a secret response. The US Treasury and Saudi Arabia quietly formed an alliance that would reshape global finance. If it failed, the dollar could collapse. If it succeeded, the world would be locked into the dollar system for decades to come. This was the birth of a financial revolution, one that still dictates how money moves today. How did the secret deal change everything? Stay tuned, because the story is just getting started. What do you think was the most surprising part of this crisis? Drop your thoughts below. Let me take you back to 1974, when America found itself in an unprecedented crisis. Inflation was skyrocketing, and the oil embargo had left the world's largest energy consumer suddenly powerless. Gas shortages dominate the headlines, and chaotic congressional hearings revealed just how vulnerable the nation had become. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, Saudi Arabia, sitting on the world's largest oil reserves, realized it now held unprecedented leverage over global superpowers. But the real crisis ran deeper than oil. After Nixon abandoned the gold standard, confidence in the US dollar was crumbling worldwide. Countries were quietly exploring alternatives, and if the dollar lost its reserve status, American power would collapse with it. In Washington, a secret team formed. Treasury Secretary William Simon, Henry Kissinger, and CIA operatives gathered to solve this existential threat. They developed a radical idea. If the dollar couldn't be backed by gold, it could be backed by something just as valuable. If every nation needed dollars to buy oil, the currency would become indispensable. The plan unfolded through covert meetings in Saudi Arabia. America made a historic offer: price your oil exclusively in dollars, and in return receive US military protection, weapons, and critical backing. The Saudis agreed, and as OPEC's leader, the rest of the cartel soon followed. Within months, the entire world needed dollars to purchase oil. This created what we now call the Petrodollar System, not just a financial arrangement, but a global trap. Nations became dependent on dollars for oil, allowing America to print money without the usual consequences. The 1970s oil crisis wasn't just about energy. It reshaped the entire global financial system in ways we're still living with today. The secret mechanism. Once OPEC priced oil exclusively in US dollars, Every nation on Earth was forced to hold dollars just to buy energy. This wasn't a choice. It was a system of global dependency. The dollar recycling loop. Here's the deeper layer. Countries bought oil with dollars, so they needed dollars. To earn them, they sold goods to the U.S. Then they reinvested those dollars back into U.S. Treasury bonds. This loop gave America something extraordinary: limitless credit. Saudi capital pipeline. Saudi Arabia alone recycled billions into U.S. bonds, stocks, and weapons. America didn't just control oil prices, it controlled where the profits went. The fatal flaw. But the system had a weakness. If a major oil producer started selling in another currency, the petrodollar's credibility would crack, confidence would collapse, and markets could panic. The enforcer. To protect the system, Washington ensured oil never escaped the dollar, not through diplomacy, but through force. Every country that tried to break away faced consequences. Iraq breaks away. Saddam Hussein priced oil in euros. 3 years later, Iraq was invaded. Afterward, oil returned to dollars. Libya breaks away. Gaddafi pushed for a gold-backed African dinar for oil. Months later, he was toppled. The currency plan disappeared. Iran and Russia. For decades, Iran and Russia attempted non-dollar oil trades. Each time, they were hit with sanctions and financial isolation. The global chain reaction. Oil priced in dollars created a powerful cycle. More trade meant more dollar demand, which meant more U.S. power, which meant more reliance on the dollar. This wasn't just economics, it was a global force of gravity. The big reveal. By the 1980s, America's greatest power didn't come from gold, factories, or military might. It came from controlling the currency that controlled the oil. By the late 2000s, the petrodollar system faced its greatest test since the 1970s. Oil prices skyrocketed past $140 a barrel. Financial markets trembled, and confidence in the dollar wavered. The world held its breath, because if the dollar collapsed, the global economy would go down with it. Then came 2008, and something remarkable happened. Oil prices crashed, stock markets crashed, economies crashed. But against all expectations, the dollar surged. In the midst of chaos, nations ran toward the very system that caused the crisis, because they still needed dollars to battle. This crisis revealed a disturbing truth. Global fear actually strengthens the dollar. When Myanmar KTS collapsed, capital rushes into the U.S. currency like a safety vacuum, pulling wealth inward while the rest of the world burns. And with every crisis, the same players grew more powerful. The U.S. Treasury, Wall Street banks, Saudi Arabia, and defense contractors expanded their influence even as millions lost jobs worldwide. A dangerous feedback loop formed. Global crises hurt everyone else, but ultimately reinforced America's financial dominance. The world's suffering created more demand for dollars, turning the currency into an economic black hole. By 2014, another test came when U.S. shale oil flooded the market and Saudi Arabia launched a price war. Oil plunged from $110 to under $30. Yet again, the dollar rose, proving the system's resilience. Most nations believed they used the dollar by choice. But the truth was far darker. Abandoning the dollar meant losing access to oil, which would shut factories, halt trade, and crash economies. The petrodollar wasn't optional, it was a hostage situation. Then came the cracks. China started buying oil in yuan. Russia used rubles. India negotiated rupee deals. Iran bypassed SWIFT. Individually small moves, but together they signaled a warning. If oil no longer needed dollars, the entire system could unravel. The petrodollar isn't invincible. is waiting for the right shock, a major war, a financial crisis, or a geopolitical earthquake to expose its fragility. When that tipping point comes, the world may finally break free from this 50-year-old financial stranglehold. But until then, the dollar remains the global economy's ultimate black hole, sucking in wealth and power with every crisis. For half a century, the petrodollar quietly shaped the world beneath our feet, dictating interest rates, trade flows, and financial stability. Every oil shipment, every currency exchange still carries echoes of that 1974 design. But here's what most people miss. The system only works because the world believed in it. Money is power, but only when trust remains, and that trust is now cracking as new financial alternatives emerge globally. In recent years, we've seen a quiet revolution. Regions began exploring alternatives, local currencies, barter systems, commodity-linked mechanisms. The old assumption that one currency must dominate is fading. Major energy producers and importers started testing new pricing models, real currency settlements, regional financial titling. Slowly, the world is diversifying away from a single payment pattern. But here's the catch. As more nations build independent financial channels, demand for the dollar softens. The petrodollar's gravitational pull isn't guaranteed anymore, and with US debt now exceeding $34 trillion, the critical question emerges. If global dollar demand eases, who absorbs the growing supply of debt? This is the system's original flaw, returning in a new form. Economists now predict a different future. More local currency trade deals, regional energy alliances, higher dollar volatility. The shift is slow but unstoppable. For investors, this brings both risk and opportunity. Oil shocks, currency swings, geopolitical premiums. Understanding the petrodollar is no longer just economics, it's survival. Three lessons stand out. Energy flows shape currency flows. Liquidity is political, and volatility always rises during global transitions. The warning is clear. Oil may no longer anchor one currency. One currency may no longer anchor global stability. And stability itself is no longer guaranteed. History doesn't repeat what it learns. Or right now, the echoes of 1973 are rolling louder.
For decades, the world believed the petrodollar created stability, but here's the uncomfortable truth. That here's CERMs choose to believe in it, and that belief is fading fast. Now, let's ask the big question. If global money isn't backed by gold or oil, but by trust, what happens when that trust runs out? Across the world, more nations are testing life outside the dollar, some carefully, some boldly, some because crisis forces them. This isn't theory, it's already happening. And the next chapter? It isn't being written in Washington or Riyadh, but in Beijing. A rising system is quietly challenging dollar dominance. The yuan oil network, China's silent strike. Because history never ends, it only changes currency.